2,300 years ago, a young king from a small Greek kingdom changed history forever. His name was Alexander of Macedon, better known as Alexander the Great. In just 11 years, he conquered the largest empire the world had ever seen, undefeated in battle, and by the age of 32, he had created a legend that still inspires us today. Early life and rise to power. Alexander was born in 356 BC in Pella, the capital of Macedonia. His father, King Philip II, transformed Macedonia into a military powerhouse, uniting most of Greece under his rule. From his mother, Olympias, Alexander inherited ambition and a belief that he was destined for greatness. Educated by none other than the philosopher Aristotle, Alexander was trained in philosophy, science, and war. By his teenage years, he was already showing signs of extraordinary leadership. When Philip was assassinated in 336 BC, Alexander, just 20 years old, inherited the throne. Many doubted him, but he quickly crushed revolts in Greece and secured his kingdom. The Persian campaign begins. But Alexander wanted more than Greece. His father had planned an invasion of the Persian Empire, ruled by King Darius III, and Alexander was determined to fulfill it. In 334 BC, he crossed into Asia Minor with 40,000 men, beginning one of history's greatest military campaigns. His first major test came at the Battle of the Granicus River. Despite the danger, Alexander personally led a cavalry charge across the river, defeating the Persians and securing Asia Minor. The Battle of Issus. A year later, in 333 BC, Alexander faced Darius himself at the Battle of Issus. Outnumbered, Alexander used brilliant tactics, striking directly at Darius and forcing him to flee the battlefield. The victory gave Alexander control of the eastern Mediterranean and cemented his reputation as a military genius. The Siege of Tyre and Egypt. Next came the island city of Tyre, which resisted Alexander for 7 months. Refusing to give up, Alexander built a causeway into the sea and stormed the city in one of the most remarkable sieges of the ancient world. From there, he marched into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule. At Siwa Oasis, he visited the Oracle of Ammon, which declared him the son of Zeus. From this point on, Alexander believed he had a divine mission. In Egypt, he also founded Alexandria, which would later become one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Gaugamela, the decisive victory. In 331 BC, Alexander met Darius once more at the Battle of Gaugamela. This was the decisive clash. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Alexander's strategy and discipline won the day. Darius fled again, and Alexander marched into Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the capitals of the Persian Empire. At Persepolis, the ceremonial capital, Alexander allowed his men to loot, and later the great palace was burned, an act some say was revenge for the Persian burning of Athens 150 years earlier. The pursuit of Darius. Darius was later betrayed and killed by his own satraps. When Alexander found his body, he honored him with a royal burial, declaring himself the true ruler of Asia. Into India. But Alexander was not finished. In 327 BC, he crossed into India, where he faced new armies and war elephants at the Battle of the Hydaspes River. Against King Porus, Alexander fought one of his toughest battles. Impressed by Porus's bravery, Alexander allowed him to remain king as a loyal ally. Yet his army, exhausted after years of campaigning, refused to march further east. Reluctantly, Alexander turned back. Final years. On the journey home, he faced harsh deserts, rebellions, and endless hardships. Back in Babylon, he began planning new campaigns to Arabia and beyond. But in 323 BC, Alexander suddenly fell ill and died at just 32 years old. Legacy. Alexander's empire stretched from Greece to Egypt and from the Mediterranean to India. Though it did not survive intact after his death, his conquests spread Greek culture, language, and ideas across 3 continents in what we call the Hellenistic Age. Cities he founded, especially Alexandria in Egypt, became centers of learning and trade for centuries. Military leaders and emperors throughout history, from Caesar to Napoleon, looked to Alexander as the ultimate model of leadership and ambition. In just over a decade, Alexander changed the world. He was more than a conqueror. He was a visionary who left behind a legacy that still shapes history today.